Earlier on, because, like I was pointing out, where it comes down to political partnerships, if the biggest political partnership was etched by Dr. Manmohan Singh and Ms. Sonia Gandhi on your television screen, a political partnership that lasted 2 decades and 10 with Dr. Singh as the Prime Minister. One of the other most important political partnerships with his cabinet was with Mr. P. Chidambaram. He himself was Finance Minister under P.V. Narasimha Rao, and then you had Mr. Chidambaram, who was Finance Minister under Dr. Manmohan Singh as well, of course, Home Minister there as well. Listen in to Mr. P. Chidambaram. I spoke with him a short while back, paying rich tributes to his former colleague.
I'll remember the period from 1991 and then after an interruption from 2004 to 2014 as a second silent liberation of India, especially India's economy. Those 23 years where Dr. Manmohan Singh's thought and philosophy prevailed in India will be a golden chapter in India's history, at least economic history.
Mr. Chidambaram, it was Dr. Singh who was the finance minister in P.V. Narasimha Rao's term, and then you served as finance minister under Dr. Singh. What would you think in his 10-year term as prime minister would be his biggest highlight, sir?
India has changed in the 10 years when Dr. Manmohan Singh was Prime Minister in dramatic ways, in ways in which the present generation born after 1991 cannot even recognize the breathtaking changes made from the situation before 1991. I mean, there's so many things that he did which paved the way for radical change and growth. But he always remembered and he always told me, while we are liberal, progressive, want to integrate with the world's economy and must be open to multilateral and bilateral trade agreements, export growth, and high growth, let us always remember that there are millions of people who are poor in the country. Their voices are not heard. Therefore, we owe an obligation to them that our policies will always eventually bring benefits to the poor.
हमारे साथ इस समय बातचीत करने के लिए जुड़ चुके हैं जम्मू कश्मीर के पूर्व मुख्यमंत्री और पूर्व केंद्रीय मंत्री गुलाम नबी आजाद। आजाद साहब, अभी थोड़ी देर पहले बहुत ही दुखद समाचार आया है। देश के पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी का निधन हो गया है। आपने काफी निकटता से उनके साथ कार्य किया था कांग्रेस पार्टी में भी, और साथ ही में जब वो देश के प्रधानमंत्री थे आप उनकी कैबिनेट में मंत्री भी थे। तो क्या स्मृतियां हैं, क्या यादें हैं?
उनकी निधन से देश और दुनिया को बहुत नुकसान हुआ। ऐसे इंसान मिलना बड़ा नामुमकिन है और मुश्किल भी है। मेरे ख्याल में दुनिया के वो चंद हेड ऑफ स्टेट्स में या हेड ऑफ गवर्नमेंट्स में थे जो साथ साथ इकोनॉमिस्ट भी थे। वो हमेशा हिंदुस्तान की तारीख में याद रहेंगे इकोनॉमिक लिबरलाइजेशन के वक्त में। ये एक ऐसे समय में फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर थे जब पूरी दुनिया में आर्थिक मंदी थी और दुनिया नीचे जा रही थी। उन्होंने इकोनॉमिक लिबरलाइजेशन राव साहब के नेतृत्व में, वो कैबिनेट मिनिस्टर थे, तो उस वक्त इकोनॉमिक लिबरलाइजेशन की पॉलिसी लाई और देश आगे चला गया। मैं बड़ा खुशकिस्मत हूँ कि मुझे इनके अलग अलग रूप में इनके साथ काम करने का मौका मिला। मेरी बहुत मदद इन्होंने करी। जब कभी भी मुझे जरूरत होती थी पैसे की, स्टेट के चलाने के लिए, स्टेट को आगे बढ़ाने के लिए, तो उन्होंने मुझे कभी भी ना नहीं किया। ऐसे प्रधानमंत्री मिलना जो थे फ्रेंडली प्राइम मिनिस्टर हूँ और अच्छी सलाह देने वाले हूँ और नॉन इंटरफियरिंग प्राइम मिनिस्टर हो, ऐसा व्यक्ति मिलना नामुमकिन है। मैं भगवान से, अल्लाह से यही दुआ करता हूँ कि उनको स्वर्ग में जगह मिले और इनकी मिसेज जो बहुत अच्छी खातून है, अच्छी औरत है, उनको इस सदमे को बर्दाश्त करने की ताकत दे दे।
The architect of India's liberalized economy, handling of the Indian-US nuclear deal, many highs where the former Prime Minister of India, Dr. Manmohan Singh, is concerned. You know, many would recall of him being a great economist, a great technocrat. Few gave him credit of also being an able politician. Because if you remember, there have been crucial times in India's politics where he stepped in to save his government. One can hark back to the year 2008 where the UPA was facing a trust motion at the back of the Indo-US nuclear deal, where the left, who was supporting the UPA from outside, had threatened to pull support. It was Dr. Singh who actually stepped in and got the Samajwadi Party to support his government. And since then, until then, there was a huge trust deficit with the Samajwadi Party as well as the Congress Party, and it was Dr. Singh who helped bridge that trust gap. All right, let's quickly cut across right now. My colleague Amit Bhardwaj is joining us from with Sanjay Singh from the Aam Aadmi Party. And Amit, you know, if you look at it, the last time that Dr. Singh made a public appearance was actually for the benefit of the Aam Aadmi Party, 2023, where as per the party whip, he came to the parliament to vote against the Delhi Services Bill.
True, Preeti, and that's what I was in fact discussing with Aam Aadmi Party MP Sanjay Singh about that entire voting process and Dr. Manmohan Singh's commitment for the parliamentary processes. संजय सिंह जी, अगर हम लोग उनके आखिरी पार्लियामेंट्री अपीयरेंस के तौर पे भी देखें, जब वो उस खराब हेल्थ में भी व्हीलचेयर पे संसद के अंदर राज्यसभा में आए आम आदमी पार्टी के और विपक्ष की उस आवाज के तौर पे, कैसे याद करते हैं वो पूरा प्रोसेस, वो दिन?
नहीं, निश्चित रूप से ये भारत के लिए एक अपूर्णीय क्षति है। डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी का हम लोगों के बीच से जाना, वो एक महान अर्थशास्त्री के रूप में हमेशा याद किए जाएंगे। वो एक ईमानदार प्रधानमंत्री के रूप में देश की अर्थव्यवस्था को आगे ले जाने वाले प्रधानमंत्री के रूप में देश और दुनिया में याद किए जाएंगे। और संघीय ढांचे और लोकतंत्र के प्रति उनकी कितनी बड़ी आस्था थी। अपनी बीमारी की हालत में भी वो व्हील चेयर पे चल के, जब दिल्ली सरकार के खिलाफ अध्यादेश आया था, उस समय वोटिंग में हिस्सा लेने के लिए आए थे। हमारी पार्टी का उन्होंने साथ दिया था। मैं सर झुका के उनको नमन करता हूं, उनको अपनी श्रद्धांजलि अर्पित करता हूं आम आदमी पार्टी की ओर से, अरविंद केजरीवाल जी की ओर से। इतने सालों तक उनके साथ राज्यसभा में काम करने का मौका मिला। मैं एक बात कह सकता हूं कि डॉक्टर साहब जब खड़े होते थे बोलने के लिए, तो चाहे वो सत्ता पक्ष के लोग हों, चाहे विपक्ष के लोग हों, चाहे वो चेयर हो, बहुत गंभीरता से उनकी बातों को सुनते थे। और कई बार चेयर से वेंकैया नायडू जी ने या जो मौजूदा हमारे चेयरमैन हैं, सब ने उनकी सराहना की, सब उनकी बातों को गंभीरता से सुनते थे। और मुझे याद है कि 2-3 मिनट में उनको अपनी बात कहनी होती थी। बहुत संक्षेप में बहुत बड़ी बात कहना, ये उनका एक हुनर था। मेरे से व्यक्तिगत एक जुड़ी हुई उनकी याद है। मैं एक बार राज्यसभा में सिग्नेचर कर रहा था रजिस्टर पे, तो मैंने देखा कि पीछे से किसी ने हाथ रखा, तो मैंने देखा डॉक्टर साहब हैं, मैंने तुरंत पैर छुआ उनका। मैंने कहा सॉरी सर, मैं देख नहीं पाया आपको। तो उन्होंने कहा कि नहीं आप साइन कीजिए। तो मैंने साइन किया, फिर उन्होंने सिग्नेचर किया। मैं पलटा, जब खड़ा रहा उनके पास, तो फिर उन्होंने कंधे पे हाथ रख के कहा कि संजय सिंह जी, आप विपक्ष की बहुत मजबूत आवाज हैं। उनका ये वाक्य मैं जीवन भर याद रखूंगा। और बहुत एक नेक और अच्छे इंसान, बहुत कम बोलने वाले लेकिन बड़े इंसान।
सर, आप लोग भारत रत्न की भी मांग कर रहे हैं डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह के लिए?
नहीं, निश्चित रूप से जो भारत रत्न के लिए जो योग्यता एक इंसान में होनी चाहिए वो सारी योग्यता मनमोहन सिंह जी पूरी करते हैं। और एक अर्थशास्त्री के रूप में भी और देश की अर्थव्यवस्था को आगे ले जाने वाले, जब उनको भारत में एक अर्थशास्त्री के रूप में काम करने को मिला, वित्त मंत्री के रूप में काम करने को मिला, उस समय देश कहाँ था आप खुद कल्पना कीजिए। 1991 में जब हमारा सोना गिरवी रखा जा रहा था, उस समय वो नरसिम्हा राव जी के साथ वित्त मंत्री के तौर पे आए और वहां से उन्होंने जो सफर किया शुरू किया, फिर 2004 में प्रधान।
The silent statesman, viewers, if you'd remember, it was in 2023 that Dr. Manmohan Singh made his last public appearance, and that too befittingly in Parliament to support the party that you saw on your television screen, the AIIMS party, to vote against the Delhi Services Bill as per the whip of his party. I want to cut across right now to Rahul Kamal.
We are joined live and exclusive at this time from California by Sam Petroda, senior Congress leader. It's well into the night in California. Thank you very much, Mr. Petroda, for joining us. You know, we're looking back at the life and times of Manmohan Singh. As somebody who worked with him over the decades in different capacities, you know, what do you think would be the most remarkable highlight of Dr. Singh's life?
You can look at Dr. Singh's life at various levels. At a personal level, I would like to focus on his character, his values, his simplicity, and sort of Gandhian way of looking at the world. The world rooted in democracy, human rights, justice, concern for poor, bottom-up development, equity, inclusion. These were very fundamental issues to him at a personal level. At a working level, he was more focused on consensus building. He was a great listener. He was a team player. He was not into hierarchies, feudal approach to management. He allowed people to build consensus. Let them sort it out. He was there observing them, guiding them, but not dictating them. He was not into micromanagement. He was more there to motivate you, empower you, respect you. I can give you an example of our conversation in a big committee on BSNL.
Mm-hmm.
You know, during his time, BSNL was going down and down. So he decided to call a meeting of about 10, 12 of us. On one side of him was his secretary, Putin Nair. On the other side, Montek and I sat there. He listened to everybody. And then at the right time, he said, Sam, what's your view? So I explained my view. He listened to it carefully. In about 5 minutes, he said, why don't we set up a committee? Let Sam chair it. We'll have Deepak Parekh and chairman of SBI, Maya Verma, work with him to give us a plan in 30 days. He made his decision then and then. We set up a committee and we submitted a plan in 30 days. It was very tactfully done without antagonizing anyone. And that was his style. Whether it was on railway reforms, Prasar Bharati bill that I worked on, or Knowledge Commission, innovation, public information infrastructure, He had similar approach to management, leadership, and consensus building. He was not there to take credit. He was not there to really put his foot down. That was not his style. And many misread that as somebody who is very sort of not very powerful. His nuclear deal was an example of his perseverance. He strongly believed that for India to continue at 8% growth, biggest bottleneck will come from energy. We'll deal with human capital, but we will not be able to deal with the energy requirement. So he was keen to really look at clean energy. And he also knew that nuclear technology will change next 10, 15 years. We will find smaller nuclear plants, more manageable. So he put his political capital on nuclear deal in a very effective way. There were a lot of people against him, especially from Communist Party and others, because he had to manage a coalition government.
Mr.
It was
Petroda,
a
when you
huge coalition
compare and contrast
of
the
more
leadership
than 20
styles
parties.
of Prime Minister Narendra
And he
Modi
managed
and
it pretty
Dr.
well.
Manmohan Singh, there are various differences that can be seen. You're also heading the Overseas Congress, so you see the kind of popularity that Prime Minister Modi enjoys internationally. So how would you think Dr. Singh would have looked at that, the kind of cult popularity that the current Prime Minister enjoys versus his more understated, sober, low-key leadership style?
No, I think popularity is measured today in terms of TV appearance, social media, tweets and all. Those were not the measurements in Manmohan Singh's time. Media was not the kind of media you have today. In addition, today, a lot of the popularity can be purchased. You can build your trend if you have $5 million to build your trend. You can show up on Google search list on the top. You can have large number of followers in whatever social media you want, if you have money to spend. And people spend money today to gain popularity. He was not into that. He didn't pay attention to that at all.
What would you think of as Dr. Singh's unfinished agenda, the things that he
I
would
can't
have
hear you.
liked to get done, but for various reasons to do with coalition compulsions couldn't push through, things that were dear to his heart, but he wasn't able to get done as an executive order?
Well, he got a lot of things done. I don't know of any big agenda he had that he couldn't push through. If you look at his real agenda on right to information, right to education, right to food, foreign policy, Narega, reforms on railways, his US visit, relationship with Obama and US and India getting closer to each other, his initiative on knowledge, universities. I think all of these got done. Okay, I cannot think of anything substantial that he had that didn't get done. If you know, maybe you can remind me of that.
Sure. You work with him closely, particularly on the education sector. Landmark bills like Right to Education, Right to Information Act, give our viewers your sense of how they've changed India's rights landscape, making much of what we now take for granted, economically weaker sections of society having a fixed quota in schools, or the Right to Information Act. All of those were landmark legislations that the Singh government pushed through.
I think right to information was one of the most important legislation that I can think of, as important as perhaps NREGA as a program. Right to information really opened up the system. It created more transparency, accessibility. It got civil society to participate on a broader platform. And I think it will go a long way in the future to build and strengthen our democracy. NREGA was really to provide capacity to spend money to people who don't have any money. It was a program to really shift income into poor hands so they have purchasing power. These were huge programs, took a long time to execute, and now people take it for granted. But these programs has changed the face of India.
Mr. Pitroda, this is Preeti Chaudhary. Mr. Pitroda, this is Preeti Chaudhary here from India Today. I have two quick questions for you, sir. One of them, we've in the current age of politics, political leaders speak much of where they come from, whether it's humble beginnings, their origins. But you had a Dr. Singh who came from absolutely nothing, undivided Pakistan, crossed over when he was just 14 years old, went through hell, but never quite spoke about what he actually went through, never used it as political currency.
Because he was a man of character. He was not there to cash in on anything. He was not there to buy sympathy. He was not there to buy glory. He had substance. He was a man of confidence, self-esteem. His self-esteem was not fragile. So you get hurt very easily. I think that was a different generation. Today, people are hollow.
But, Mr. Pitroda...
They don't have depth of knowledge. They know things on surface with some buzzwords, and they want to pass on as experts.
Mr. Pitroda, the legacy of Dr. Singh will always be remembered as, this glorious economist, technocrat, prime minister, but very little credit is actually given to him as being an astute politician at times. You can hark back to the year 2008, where he actually got the Samajwadi Party to support his government on a no-trust vote, when the left, who was supporting the UPA from outside, decided to pull back on the nuclear deal with the US. And he managed to do it. And then getting Mulayam Singh to support the candidature of, Pranab Mukherjee.
Yes, he was committed to the nuclear deal. He put his political capital online for the nuclear deal because he was very concerned about energy deficiency in India. He and I had a conversation on this, and he said, Sam, if we want to grow at 8%, we got to lock up the energy for the future. Without energy, India cannot deliver the kind of growth India has to deliver, which was pretty visionary.
Do you also see, when he came in 2004, a possible pull away of what was the Nehruvian way of foreign policy?
Well, he realized that we need to build strength with democracy. He realized that technology is going to be very important. He realized that US has all the technology we need, and we need to align a little better with US than we have done in the past. And that's why he worked with US on the nuclear deal.
Mr. Pitroda, there would be a relationship, I would reckon, that would go down in the annals of Indian history as, a professional, working, collaborative relationship, which was that of Ms. Sonia Gandhi and Dr. Singh. In 2004, when she gave up being the Prime Minister, she actually said there can't be anyone more able, than him. Would you reckon how this relationship is panned out? Because we are playing visuals of Ms. Sonia Gandhi standing by his family today, where it practically ends a full chapter in Indian political history?
Well, Dr. Manmohan Singh was committed to Congress party ideology. As I said earlier, he was very Gandhian in his approach to development, lifestyle, value, character. He saw in Congress party the idea of India that he believed in. So he worked with Sonia Gandhi well because he had the confidence of Sonia Gandhi, and his job was very clearly cut out. He had the autonomy to run the government while we had set up National Advisory Council under Sonia Gandhi. I was a member of that in the beginning, to really give some big ideas like Narega to government. And our job was to put ideas on table and let the government, department, ministry, through public consultation, decide on what needs to be done and how it has to be done. There was no push from Sonia Gandhi's part to implement any of these programs. But more as a think tank, the idea was to put it on the table. And that's what we did. And that relationship worked very well.
Mr. Pitroda, last two questions before we let you go, sir. Often Dr. Singh has been called the reluctant Prime Minister. He himself made it very clear that he was the least of an accidental Prime Minister. But when you recall the memory of Dr. Singh, because there's an entire generation that really doesn't know who the man really was, what would you say?
He was a committed Prime Minister. He had India's interest at heart and not personal interest. He believed in the ideology of the Gandhi and Congress party. He saw that as a platform to operate. He was a man with character who believed in consensus building. He was not command and control kind of an individual. He believed in collaboration, cooperation, and that was his unique way of functioning.
Mr.
He was not
Pitroda,
harsh.
Mr. Pitroda, before
He
we
was
let
very
you go,
soft-spoken.
is there a personal anecdote, sir, that you'd want to recall? I'm sure
Say
you
it
have
again,
plenty.
please.
My final question before we let you go, Mr. Pitroda, is there a personal anecdote that you recall of your interactions with Dr. Singh?
Oh, there are many, I can talk about many, but I would say every time I went to him with an idea, he listened to it very carefully. Never interrupted, never said this is not a good idea or a bad idea. He let me finish. And I felt very comfortable that I got my hearing. That was his style.
Mr. Pitroda,
You felt good about being with him.
Mr. Pitroda, we appreciate you taking the time.
He always made you feel comfortable.
We appreciate you taking the time out and joining us, because we'd like to just, we're going to go into a quick break, but we'll file out with what Mr. Pitroda says, because something that has been echoed by practically every political leader who has worked closely with Dr. Singh today says the same thing, that no matter what, he used to hear us, he used to listen to us, he'd give what his submissions were, but he'd hear you out. And it's come from the likes of the youngest cabinet ministers to have worked with Dr. Singh, Mr. Sachin Pilot, to one of the oldest, Mr. Chidambaram, who I spoke with just a short while back. And each one of them talk about this one quality of Dr. Singh, that no matter where he was, what he was doing, if you went to him, he'd give you a patient hearing, he'd encourage you to come up with your ideas, he'll incorporate some, but he will always make you feel that you were counted for, the silent statesman. And I would reckon that's his contribution to India, because somewhere down the line, he made sure that we were all counted for. A quick break, stay with us, Ruling Coverage continues.
Razr 50 Ultra comes with Google Gemini.
ज़माने से हटकर बेबाक है मेरा सिग्नेचर. Signature finest cardamom seeds, a premium product from Dilbar Group.
Hey Google, how do I do a wing liner? AI Ray. Flip the script with the new Motorola Razr 50 series. Hello, Moto.
Motorola Razr 50 Ultra comes with Google Gemini.
Hi, I am AI anchor Sana, bringing the top headlines for you, presented by Motorola. Union government declares 7 days of national mourning on former PM Manmohan Singh's demise. Delhi NCR experiences sudden weather change, temperature drops amid rain. Patna SSP orders ban on smartphone use for on-duty policemen starting today.
The turning points that inspired the nation. India Today. Making sense of India. Subscribe now.
पार्टी भारतीय जनता पार्टी के पक्ष में खड़ी हुई है और हर वो काम कर रही है जिससे बीजेपी को चुनाव में फायदा हो. दिल्ली के अंदर इनके एक नेता हैं अजय माकन जी. अजय माकन जी बीजेपी की स्क्रिप्ट पढ़ते हैं, बीजेपी के कहने पर बयान देते हैं, बीजेपी के कहने पे आम आदमी पार्टी के नेताओं को टारगेट करते हैं. और कल उन्होंने सारी हदें पार करके देश के लोकप्रिय नेता, दिल्ली के सबसे लोकप्रिय नेता अरविंद केजरीवाल जी, जो हमारी पार्टी के अगुवा हैं, उनको कह रहे हैं एंटी नेशनल है केजरीवाल. केजरीवाल अगर एंटी नेशनल है तो आप मुझे बताइए, वो केजरीवाल दिल्ली के लोगों के लिए शिक्षा, स्वास्थ्य, बिजली, पानी, रोजगार का इंतजाम कैसे कर रहे हैं?
ख्वाबों से अच्छी है मेरी खामोशी, न जाने कितने सवालों की आबरू रखी। For the due discharge of my duties as Prime Minister. सरफरोशी की तमन्ना अब हमारे दिल में है, देखना है जोर कितना बाजुए कातिल में है।
Warm welcome, viewers. Former Prime Minister of India, veteran Congress leader, noted economist, technocrat, and the architect of India's liberalized economy, Dr. Manmohan Singh, has passed away at 92. And in the national capital, befitting the heavens have opened up, it's been raining since the morning. We're going to get you the latest coming in. The final rites, last rites of the former Prime Minister will take place tomorrow, 10 a.m. They're awaiting the return of his daughter from the United States of America. Before we get you more details, as a string of tributes pour in for Dr. Singh, allow me to take you through the headlines. Former Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh passes away at 92. Final rites and funeral to be held tomorrow. Prime Minister Modi pays tribute to Dr. Singh, hails his contribution to India. Home Minister Amit Shah, JP Nadda also pay tribute.
मनमोहन सिंह जी को सभी देशवासियों की तरफ से श्रद्धांजलि अर्पित करता हूं।
Sonia Gandhi pays tribute to Dr. Singh. Rahul, Priyanka accompany Sonia. Congress top brass pay final respects. The Indian cricket team pays respect to Dr. Singh. Cricketers don black armbands to pay tribute. Annamalai's penance, flogs himself 6 times as penance, says cannot normalize crime in society. Former Indian Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh breathed his last at the AIIMS in the national capital yesterday shortly after 9 p.m. His mortal remains have been brought to his residence at Motilal Road, and today a string of visitors, dignitaries, political leaders, Congress leaders coming in to pay their final respects as India remembers Dr. Singh. Prime Minister Modi also paid his final respects to Dr. Singh at his residence. Home Minister Amit Shah, BJP President JP Nadda also offered tributes. Rahul Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi and Priyanka Gandhi paid homage. Dr. Singh is being honoured with state tribute and the national flag at half-mast in his memory. Prime Minister Modi remembered his predecessor as the most distinguished leader and an exemplary parliamentarian. A 7-day national mourning has been announced and a proper state funeral will be accorded. The last rites of the former Prime Minister will be held on Saturday 10 to 11 a.m. near Shakti Sthal in Delhi.
पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी के निधन ने हम सभी के हृदय को गहरी पीड़ा पहुंचाई है। उनका जाना एक राष्ट्र के रूप में भी हमारे लिए बहुत बड़ी क्षति है। विभाजन के उस दौर में बहुत कुछ खोकर भारत आना और यहां जीवन के हर क्षेत्र में उपलब्धियां हासिल करना ये सामान्य बात नहीं है। अभावों और संघर्षों से ऊपर उठकर कैसे ऊंचाइयों को हासिल किया जा सकता है, उनका जीवन ये सीख भावी पीढ़ी को देता रहेगा। एक नेक इंसान के रूप में, एक विद्वान अर्थशास्त्री के रूप में और रिफॉर्म्स के प्रति समर्पित लीडर के रूप में उन्हें हमेशा याद किया जाएगा। एक अर्थशास्त्री के रूप में उन्होंने अलग अलग स्तर पर भारत सरकार में अनेक सेवाएं दी। एक चुनौतीपूर्ण समय में उन्होंने रिजर्व बैंक के गवर्नर की भूमिका निभाई। पूर्व प्रधानमंत्री भारत रत्न श्री पीवी नरसिम्हा राव जी की सरकार के वित्त मंत्री रहते हुए उन्होंने वित्तीय संकट से घिरे देश को एक नई अर्थव्यवस्था के मार्ग पर प्रशस्त किया। प्रधानमंत्री के रूप में देश के विकास में और प्रगति में उनके योगदान को हमेशा याद किया जाएगा। जनता के प्रति, देश के विकास के प्रति उनका जो कमिटमेंट था उसे हमेशा बहुत सम्मान से देखा जाएगा। डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी का जीवन उनकी ईमानदारी और सादगी का प्रतिबिंब था। वो विलक्षण सांसद थे। उनकी विनम्रता, सौम्यता और उनकी बौद्धिकता उनके संसदीय जीवन की पहचान बनी। मुझे याद है कि इस साल की शुरुआत में जब राज्यसभा में उनका कार्यकाल समाप्त हुआ, तब मैंने कहा था कि सांसद के रूप में डॉक्टर साहब की निष्ठा सभी के लिए प्रेरणा जैसी है। सत्र के समय अहम मौकों पर वो व्हीलचेयर पर बैठकर आते थे, अपना संसदीय दायित्व निभाते थे। दुनिया के प्रतिष्ठित संस्थानों की शिक्षा लेने और सरकार के अनेक शीर्ष पदों पर रहने के बाद भी वो अपनी सामान्य पृष्ठभूमि के मूल्यों को कभी भी नहीं भूले। सबके लिए सहज उपलब्ध रहे। जब मैं मुख्यमंत्री था तब डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी के साथ राष्ट्रीय और अंतर्राष्ट्रीय अनेक विषयों पर उनसे खुले मन से चर्चाएं होती थी। यहां दिल्ली आने के बाद भी मेरी उनसे समय समय पर बात होती थी, मुलाकात होती थी। मुझे उनसे हुई मुलाकातें, देश को लेकर हुई चर्चाएं हमेशा याद रहेगी। अभी जब उनका जन्मदिन था तब भी मैंने उनसे बात की थी। आज इस कठिन घड़ी में मैं उनके परिवार के प्रति अपनी संवेदनाएं व्यक्त करता हूं। मैं डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी को सभी देशवासियों की तरफ से श्रद्धांजलि अर्पित करता हूं।
Rich tribute pouring in from all quarters. Let's listen in.
डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी का हमारे बीच से चला जाना न केवल देश के लिए एक महान क्षति है, बल्कि मेरे लिए व्यक्तिगत भी। मैं उनको वर्षों से जानता था। राष्ट्रपति भवन में उनसे मेरी भेंट होती थी। वो सौम्यता और विनम्रता के एक प्रतीक थे। भारतीय राजनीति के एक पुरोधा थे और मैं समझता हूं कि इंडियन इकोनॉमी के एक आधुनिक निर्माता थे। मैं अपनी विनम्र श्रद्धांजलि उनको प्रेषित करता हूं और उनकी आत्मा की शांति के लिए ईश्वर से प्रार्थना करता हूं।
वो एक भारत का एक पहला वजीर आज़म था, प्रधानमंत्री था, जिसने मार्जिनलाइज कम्युनिटीज़ और ख़ास तौर से मुसलमानों को अपलिफ्ट करने के लिए, उनको हक दिलाने के लिए उन्होंने बहुत कोशिशें की और उनके इंतकाल से यकीनन हमारे वतन अजीज़ ने अपने एक ख़ास सपूत को खोया है। मैं तमाम मुल्क जो आज इस गम में शामिल है, गम में है, मैं उसमें शामिल हूँ।
The sad demise of Dr. Manmohan Singh is a great loss to the nation, entire nation. When the Indian economy was in shambles, Sri Narasimha Rao invited him to join his ministry as finance minister. Many people wondered how this man will salvage the mess created by the previous government. But within few months, he has changed the whole economy. Economy again started flourishing.
एक वित्त मंत्री के रूप में और एक प्रधानमंत्री के रूप में देश को आर्थिक रूप से मजबूत करना, और देश में आज बहुत कुछ जो दिखाई दे रहा है वो हमारे रहे प्रधानमंत्री मनमोहन सिंह जी की वजह से ही है। पूरा देश आज दुखी भी है और उनके पुराने भाषण से लेकर के पुरानी चीज़ों को याद कर रहा है। देश के एक अच्छे प्रधानमंत्री के रूप में हमेशा वो याद किए जाएंगे। इतिहास के पन्नों में जरूर चले गए वो, लेकिन वो देश के एक अच्छे प्रधानमंत्री के रूप में हमेशा जाने जाएंगे।
डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह ईमानदार, निष्ठावान, इस तरह का नेता बिरले ही मिल सकता है जिस पर कोई आरोप नहीं लगा हो, कुछ नहीं लगा। मंत्रिमंडल में मैं उन्हीं के मंत्रिमंडल में मंत्री था, उनके नेतृत्व में, और उनका बहुत बड़ा सहयोग हमको मिला जब हम रेल मंत्री थे। उनका निधन का समाचार सुन करके गहरा आघात लगा है।
उनके जाने की इस क्षति का यानी सहन करने की शक्ति प्रभु प्रदान करे। मैं उनको प्रभु से प्रार्थना करता कि अपने चरणों में उनको स्थान दे।
मेरी अश्रुपूर्ण भावभीनी श्रद्धांजलि आदरणीय मनमोहन सिंह जी के लिए। श्रेष्ठ इंसान, विद्वता, ज्ञान, श्रेष्ठ मर्यादित आचरण, दूरदृष्टि वाले राजनेता और अत्यंत श्रेष्ठ और मर्यादित सांसद के रूप में उनकी छवि हमेशा रही। वह देश के बड़े अर्थशास्त्री रहे जिनकी शोहरत दुनिया में थी।
मैं 2009 से 2014 तक उनके साथ सांसद था और मैंने बहुत नज़दीक से उनको एक प्रधानमंत्री के रूप में देखा, लेकिन वो प्रधानमंत्री के रूप में मैंने हमेशा उनमें एक चीज़ देखी विलक्षण, कि वो कभी राजनीति की बात मुझसे नहीं करते थे, हमेशा देश की बुनियादी समस्याओं की बात करते थे। जिस तरह से उन्होंने आरबीआई के गवर्नर के रूप में, यूनाइटेड नेशंस में, या जिस तरीके से इकोनॉमिक एडवाइजर के रूप में, वित्त मंत्री के रूप में, हर रूप में उन्होंने अपने काम से और अपने चीज़ों से जो चीज़ें डाली है वो एक अपूर्णीय क्षति है।
और फॉर्मर प्राइम मिनिस्टर ऑफ दिस कंट्री मनमोहन सिंह जी demise has put us in a very big pain. The contribution given to the country, not only the country, the world, in the economy field, reforms. Today is not with us, but in the world actually his contribution to the country. Always everybody will remember. He is a great son of India.
अच्छे प्राइम मिनिस्टर थे, उन्होंने प्रॉब्लम्स को सॉल्व करने की कोशिश की। लोग बहुत बुरा भला कहते हैं कि कमजोर थे और ऐसे थे वैसे थे, कुछ नहीं, सोच समझ के कदम उठाते थे। तो उनके सामने जो प्रॉब्लम्स थे, चाहे वो डोमेस्टिक प्रॉब्लम्स हो या विदेशी पॉलिसी की प्रॉब्लम्स हो, उन्होंने सबको सुलझाने की कोशिश की.
Manmohan Singh was the greatest prime ministers of our country. It was Dr. Manmohan Singh who shaped this country into a global economic power. Today we are the 5th largest economy in the world, and for entire this, his the foundation what he laid when Dr. Narasimha was the Prime Minister, he being the Finance Minister, and then thereafter 10 years as the Prime Minister, has shaped a strong India, which is global financial power today.
Because his last public appearance was in Parliament in 2023, where he followed his party's whip and came to vote against the Delhi Services Bill. His last press conference was in 2014, where he said, I honestly believe that history will be kinder than contemporary media to me, or that matter of fact, the opposition parties in Parliament. Well, the spontaneous outpouring of grief that we've seen from all quarters, be it the opposition parties, and you can see that on your television screen, be it even contemporary media as well, stands testimony to the fact that history is already being much kinder. I want to cut across to my colleague Maushmi Singh, who joins us from Motilal Road, where is Dr. Manmohan Singh's residence, and there has been a steady pouring in of dignitaries, political leaders, party cadre from the Congress coming in to pay their final respects. Piyush, my colleague, joins us from the Congress headquarters, where the party flag is flying at half-mast. I want to... Maushmi has a guest with her. Maushmi, over to you.
Preeti, this is a time of grief, and not only, the Congress party workers, but we've seen that people at large are pouring in to pay their last respects to the former Prime Minister. And here you have two ladies who have come to bid adieu to Dr. Manmohan Singh. What do you remember of him fondly? You've said you've had interactions with him earlier.
So, firstly, we are here on behalf of Gurudev Sri Ravi Shankar, who's running the Art of Living organization. He's unable to come himself because he's in the US. Yes, we've had interactions with him. I remember interacting with him during our Meri Delhi, Meri Yamuna campaign, and also the Clean Delhi drive, and he was so appreciative of our efforts as an organization. And I also remember meeting him. We had once come to his residence, and I had come along with Gurudev Sri Ravi Shankar. That's when we met him. So I really remember him very fondly as a great leader, very humble, and always encouraging. That's what I remember of him.
A very unassuming gentleman who achieved great height.
Yes. See, I remember my interactions. I knew Mrs. Manmohan Singh very well, and she had also done an Art of Living course, and I was a teacher who came and taught, and we had a very good time. And Dr. Manmohan Singh also, whenever we interacted, a very shant and very बहुत ही ठहरे हुए इंसान, and Gurudev had very high regards. And Gurudev came and met him twice, and we people interacted, and I used to meet Mrs. Manmohan Singh many times.
In fact, his gentle demeanor is what many comment in the rough world of politics. Even Barack Obama, to many tall leaders, really recognize that here was a person who survived it all and in his own maintained his poise and demeanor.
Absolutely, and as an economist, he did a lot. He was the first person who brought in so much economic reforms for our country, and that is something which has taken the country forward.
So, thank you, ma'am. So, the country would remember him fondly, and this is just an example, Preeti, of how there are people who are coming in to pay their respects, not only politicians from the Congress party but across the political spectrum. We are told that we will bid him adieu with full state honors, and perhaps his mortal remains could be taken to the Congress headquarters tomorrow, just right before the funeral and the last rites take place.
His mortal remains, Moshmi, like you suggested, might be taken to the Congress headquarters tomorrow, right before the funeral. Have you been speaking to the Congress leadership? Because right now, the Gandhis have they left Dr. Singh's residence? We saw Priyanka Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, as well as Sonia Gandhi, and out of all of them, I would reckon the longest standing working relationship, which was collaborative in nature, as professional as it was also deeply personal, which came on implicit trust between Sonia Gandhi and Rahul Gandhi. Have the Gandhis left the residence? Have you been able to speak to the leadership? Have they planned anything to commemorate the memory of India's former Prime Minister?
Preeti, I just saw Mr. Kharge, the Congress president, just leaving, and Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, perhaps with Priyanka, are still inside. But as you said, Dr. Manmohan Singh had the tremendous ability to balance out all the hate that was spewed on him, or balance out all the challenges that politics would throw at him. And, that's why recalling his last press conferences, in fact, personified his iconic and very, very different nature. I remember at the 7 RCR, which is now the Lok Kalyan Marg, we used to stand for the core group meetings on Fridays, and we had access right till the gate of the Prime Minister. He used to hold press conferences while he used to return from his visits abroad on the plane, and one could ask any question that we wanted to ask. And he wouldn't be so harsh on journalists if we had asked an uncomfortable question, and had a sense of wit and humor to respond back to. I remember the iftar party that was held last, where he actually came, and I remember sharing the table with him and talking to him. Here was a person who came across as completely one of your kind. Not in his demeanor, there was no arrogance, there was no intimidating nature. It was a very warm and friendly person with that vast expanse of knowledge and an institution in himself, but always unassuming. That was Dr. Manmohan Singh. And, covering him, the Prime Minister's office, and covering the party while he would be around. He would respond to our questions when we were in Parliament. One question, one small question, and you'll get one word that would make headlines. That was Dr. Manmohan Singh for you as a reporter.
Well, Dr. Manmohan Singh, for you as a reporter, and so many stories, viewers. As Moshmi just pointed out, the accessibility, you could go all the way to the gates of 7 RCR, which is Lok Kalyan Marg right now. Many stories. One, Dr. Manmohan Singh went to the Jawaharlal Nehru University and was welcomed with black flags, because they were protesting his economic policies. And at the back of it, after his visit, the JNU faculty, angry with the students, decided that they were going to take stringent action against those who spotted black flags at JNU. And that is when the news made it to the newspapers. Dr. Singh, the then Prime Minister, read the newspapers and got the Prime Minister's office to call the JNU faculty and tell them, do not take any action against the students. It's their democratic right to protest. Lots of stories where Dr. Singh comes into question. 10 years, at the fag end, there was a fair amount of flack that he faced. And the last term in office, Manmohan Singh had to repeatedly defend his government's record. Like we pointed out, his last press conference in 2014, when he gave up his Prime Minister's chair, he said that he hopes that history will be much kinder to him than contemporary media or even the opposition. And like I pointed out, viewers, with the spontaneous outpouring of grief that we have seen, It's proven Dr. Singh correct. He was right. History is already kinder to him. Listen in to Dr. Singh through his various public interactions.
It has been my general practice not to respond to motivated criticism directed personally at me. My general attitude has been हजारों जवाबों से अच्छी है मेरी खामोशी न जाने कितने सवालों की आबरू रख. I honestly believe that history will be kinder to me than the contemporary media or for that matter the opposition parties in parliament.
आज एक शेर पूछ करके मैं आपसे जवाब पूछना चाहती हूँ. तू इधर उधर की ना बात कर, ये बता कि काफिला क्यों लूटा. तू इधर उधर की ना बात कर, ये बता कि काफिला क्यों लूटा. हमें रहजनों से गिरा नहीं, तेरी रहबरी का ख्याल है.
She is narrated in Urdu couplet. I would also do so and say, माना कि तेरी दीद के काबिल नहीं हूँ मैं. माना कि तेरी दीद के काबिल नहीं हूँ मैं. तू मेरा शौक तो देख, मेरा इंतजार देख. I also propose to revise upward the existing specific rates of excise duty on tires, tubes and flaps. However, I propose to reduce the duty on moped tires from rupees 30 at present to rupees 25 per tire. The proposal involves a revenue gain of rupees 40 crores. Special excise duty is being levied at present at the rate of 10% of basic excise duty. Certain essential items such as tea, coffee, sugar, matches, kerosene, and vanaspati are fully exempted. In addition, high-speed diesel and two-wheelers attract special excise duty at 5%. I now propose to raise the special excise duty on products which are presently attracting a 10% rate of duty to 15%. However, this increase will not be applicable to petroleum products. I also propose to exempt from this increase certain consumers' durables like motor cars and consumer electronics such as television sets, as these industries are currently passing through a difficult phase. This proposal involves a revenue gain of rupees 1,025 crores. I may say the exemption for the motor car sector is at the request of the Chief Minister of West Bengal. The changes in trade policy introduced last year. The changes in trade policy introduced last year have eliminated the differential incentive for export at higher stages of manufacture. While a uniform pattern of incentive is generally to be preferred, there is a case for introducing some disincentive for export of certain primary products where the same product can be easily exported in value-added form. I therefore propose to impose an export duty of 10% on exports of certain types of finished leather and on unpolished granite in order to encourage exporters to shift to leather products and polished granites. I am also imposing an export duty of 5% on iron ore. The proposals are expected to yield an additional revenue of rupees 142.
Well, be it the use of wit, humor in serious debates like you just saw, or the poetic banter which you just witnessed with the then leader of opposition, Sushma Swaraj. He did break his silence with shairi not once, many times over. You saw a few examples there. Very unusual, one might suggest, of what his outwardly demeanor was: silent, stoic, composed. But he did do that quite often, and many political reporters have many stories that would regale us. Let's also dip in. More reactions coming in from celebrities.
I will miss the man with the blue turban, and may God rest his soul in peace. May his family have the courage to deal with this tragedy. The nation has lost a very, I will say, a very honest human being and a great leader.
एक ऐसा तपस्वी जिसने प्रधानमंत्री के रूप में इस देश के और दुनिया के अंदर जो आम लोग हैं उनको मजबूत सुदृढ़ करने के लिए उन्होंने अपना जीवन लगाया। वो शब्द मुझे याद आ रहे हैं जब उन्होंने आखिरी प्रेस इंटरव्यू में कहा था, इतिहास मेरे किए के साथ में न्याय जरूर करेगा, और उनके वो सारे शब्द आज सार्थक सिद्ध हो रहे हैं।
Tribute pouring in, viewers, for Dr. Singh. Listen in. Mr. Kharge, as well as the Gandhis, paying tribute to Dr. Manmohan Singh. You have President Draupadi Murmu arriving at the residence of late former Prime Minister Dr. Singh to pay homage. She called Dr. Singh a rare politician. Prime Minister Modi paid his final respects to Dr. Singh this morning. Former Prime Minister's wife Gursharan Kaur stood beside his body as PM Modi bowed and offered condolences. Union Minister Amit Shah and JP Nadda also arrived at Dr. Singh's residence to pay their tributes to the former Prime Minister. Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi and others also came in to pay tribute to the former Prime Minister. The Gandhis have decided to stay with the family and are present at the residence. The national flag flies at half-mast atop Rashtrapati Bhavan in Delhi as a mark of respect for former Prime Minister Dr. Singh. The 92-year-old, two-time Prime Minister, passed away on Thursday night shortly after 9 p.m. at AIIMS due to age-related illnesses. Dr. Singh, a soft-spoken, cerebral former Indian Prime Minister who was credited with far-reaching changes that propelled his country's emergence as an economic powerhouse, able to compete with China, passed away on Thursday in New Delhi. Let's take a look at his journey.
Manmohan Singh is often described as the accidental Prime Minister. In 2004, when the Congress emerged the largest party in a general election that many considered would be a stroll in the park for Atal Bihari Vajpayee, Prime Ministership was the last thing on Manmohan Singh's mind. Everyone expected Sonia Gandhi to take the reins.
The post of Prime Minister has not been my aim.
For the Union.
The baton went to the soft-spoken Sardar.
For the due discharge.
Manmohan Singh took oath as the first Sikh Prime Minister of India on the 22nd of May 2004.
I, Manmohan Singh, do swear in the name of God that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of India as by law established, that I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India.
Born on September the 26th, 1932, in a village in the Punjab province of undivided India, Manmohan Singh's journey to the top post was nothing less than inspirational. As a child, he had studied in the dim light of kerosene lamps, matriculation from Punjab University, a degree in economics from the University of Cambridge, a doctorate from Oxford University in 1962, Manmohan Singh's career as an economist was only getting started. He went on to become the governor of the Reserve Bank of India. A huge turning point came in 1991 when the newly sworn-in Prime Minister Narasimha Rao entrusted Manmohan with the task of getting the Indian economy out of its worst economic crisis ever, that saw the country pledge its gold to avoid defaulting on loans. Together with Rao, Manmohan dismantled the license quota regime and unleashed economic reforms that transformed India, giving birth to a new middle class. Years later, as Prime Minister, Manmohan walked the tightrope, balancing the party's expectations and the real mechanics of governance. In 2005, the UPA government passed the landmark Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act that provided assured jobs for 100 days a year per household. Narega, which was called a white elephant, turned out to be a savior in times of rural distress. The same year, the UPA government passed the Right to Information Act, which empowered citizens. When the world slid into slowdown in 2008, in what came to be known as the Great Recession, Manmohan steered the economy to safety with deft financial management. His handling of the crisis came in for praise from then American President Barack Obama. The man who was seen as a dove showed spunk and nerves of steel when he finalized the civil nuclear deal with the United States, overruling opposition by the left and going against the advice of his own party leaders. The deal ended over 3 decades of nuclear apartheid.
For 34 years, India has suffered from a nuclear apartheid. We have not been able to trade in nuclear material, nuclear reactors, nuclear raw materials. And when this restrictive regime ends, I think a great deal of credit will go to President Bush. And for this, I am very grateful to you, Mr. President.
Manmohan survived a crucial trust vote that followed. His first term also saw the 26/11 Mumbai terror attack that shook the entire world. Manmohan's restraint in not launching an attack on Pakistan earned him global admiration, but met with disapproval at home. In 2009, Manmohan Singh led the UPA to a comfortable victory, becoming only the second Prime Minister after Jawaharlal Nehru to get a second term on completion of a full 5-year tenure. The headlines screamed, "Singh is King," as he took oath once again as Prime Minister.
As by law established.
In his second innings, he passed the National Food Security Act that provides subsidized grains to 75% of the rural population and 50% of the urban population. Manmohan's second term was marred by corruption charges, fueled by 2 CAG reports, one on 2G spectrum allocation and another on coal block allocations. The anti-corruption protests and a listless Congress meant the party lost the 2014 election to the Narendra Modi-led BJP. After losing power, Manmohan Singh withdrew from public life largely, but still made his voice heard when it was needed.
In all these mayors convinced me that the way the scheme has been implemented, it's a monumental management failure, and in fact, it is a case of organized loot and legalized plunder.
In August 2023, he came to Parliament in a wheelchair to vote against the Narendra Modi government on a bill putting duty above self, an act admired by even his political rivals.
डॉक्टर मनमोहन सिंह जी व्हील चेयर में आए, वोट किया। एक सांसद अपने दायित्व के लिए कितना सजग है, उसका वो उदाहरण है। सवाल ये नहीं है कि वो किसको ताकत देने के लिए आए थे। मैं मानता हूं वो लोकतंत्र को ताकत देने आए थे।
Many might say Manmohan Singh stepped out of the highest office unsung and under a heavy cloud of criticism. But he himself was convinced history would judge him kindly.
I honestly believe that history will be kinder to me than the contemporary media or for that matter, the opposition parties in parliament.
Bureau Report, India Today.
And he was bang on, because already history is kinder to Dr. Singh. Thank you for the service, Dr. Singh. With that, we're going to go into a quick break. Updates continue on the other side.